CES 2023 is finally over, and on our podcast show this week, we're going over some of the tech stories that have stuck with us till the bitter end, including some updates that have stuck for better or for worse. So let's get on with the show. Winston, your overall thoughts on CES 2023 this year?
Yeah, well, it was a little quiet, to be honest, and there wasn't much to show. I think this take some time before everybody gets back to normal. Everything gets back to normal. I know a lot of foreign media didn't outside of US didn't attend, so that's the thing. But in overall, most of the announcements that were made, we already knew from towards the end of last year, such as all
leaks.
Leaks and stuff like that. And of course, in-person shows and stuff like that didn't happen last year that much. So this year they're trying to make it big, try to get all the visitors back in, but it's going to take time, of course, with travel restrictions, especially what happened with the recent news with China opening up. So it's going to take some time. Everybody's like, hey, still need to do the COVID tests and stuff like that. So it's people are cautious, and we would normally go, but we decided not to this year. But next year maybe.
There's a lot of stuff going on with air travel right now that is not desirable, and we could be stuck in an airport for days waiting for a flight or even on a tarmac. But regardless of all these things, CES 2023 did grow 70% over last year. But at the same time, though, if I picked up a penny off the ground, my wallet would be 100% heavier as a result of that penny as well too. So depending on how you steer things, an extra person or two makes a big deal to CES as well too. But I hope that we see an upward trend in the in having people back. I know that a lot of our friends on Facebook and on Instagram, we saw them at CES, and that was part of their job to be there, available for any press media that were able to come, which is great. A lot of the events started very early in the show, like CES Unveiled, a couple of the other shows, of course, and that helped give us a good glimpse of what was happening. A lot of our media friends actually left the show before it even ended because they were basically done already, which was good for them, so they can start filing stories by the end of the week. And as of the recording of the show, CES is officially over. It ended on the Monday, so we're recording this on Tuesday for you for Wednesday. So Winston, let's dive right into it. What's your first CES memory, and what are some of the highlights that you picked up on?
For this year's CES, AMD surprisingly launched their refresh of their 7000 series processors. So if you noticed last year, I think it was around about October, around there, they launched their Ryzen 7000 series, which is great. I got one myself, and it was one for the AM5 motherboards, the latest one. And then now they're already doing a refresh, and this refresh comes with 3D V cache. Okay, they're available in the Ryzen 9 7950 X3D and the 7900 X3D, and also the Ryzen 7 7800 X3D. So it offers lower TDP, 120 watts, which is of course more power efficient, and has more cache to improve performance. No pricing yet. I think there's some leaks about pricing around about $700, $600, $500, depending on the spec of the chip. Available at end of February. So that's one of the announcements that they did at CES, and you can watch the YouTube channel from AMD's own channel there.
Interesting, because I heard that Intel launched their 13th series officially.
Yes.
No reviews at all. And they increased the price of their 12th generation chips by 10%.
Oh, increase.
What do you think about that?
I don't know why they increased it though. That's the thing. Because
what do you think about that? Like
that's not a very attractive news to give out to consumers.
It's like Intel has given up.
They've put enough. They put loads of resources. I think more than they expected in the graphics card department. And to be honest with you, that didn't go so far. Well,
they're struggling.
Well, I've seen a couple of videos where they're promoting the graphics card, saying, "Hey, DirectX 9 performance improvement. Hold on.
DirectX 9? What are we on 12 now?
12.
Interesting.
And they're on like 8 gigabytes of RAM. So it's.
Oh, is that right? I think my Xbox 360. I think my Xbox has DirectX 12 and it runs it better.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what's happening with Intel. It's just the 13th gen. Don't get me wrong. Are good processors. In fact, I got one myself. The 13900K. That's right. A really good processor. That's right. And the price is not bad either for what it is. And paired with the latest Z790 board, it's amazing speed and performance. But I'm not sure why
they're just pushing the 13 series by increasing the price of the 12. Is that what's going on? Maybe
it could be possibly because the difference between a Z690 and a Z790 board is so little that you could actually use the older chip on the newer board. So I'm
doesn't
not
make
sure.
A lot of sense otherwise, right?
Yeah, maybe it's something to do with the inventory. They have too much inventory. Or less inventory? I don't know.
Well, too much makes a little bit more sense because the 13th gen chips, they're going to be better, right? So if you have too many 12 series chips kicking around, well, hold on. This seems strange, but maybe they really don't have enough 12s around and they can increase the price right now. But Intel, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
Because you can actually run all the chips on the new Z790 board.
Yeah. But it doesn't make sense for them to increase the price of the old ones and to push the new ones. Do they have more inventory of new ones? Is that it? Like, what are you going to do with the old ones? Like, are they going to be half price after this first initial bump? I mean,
it could be a chip production issue. So their fabrication plants could have issues with the 13th gen, maybe not enough.
Jeez.
And now they're pushing 12th gen, maybe increasing the price. Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows?
Well, Intel. So what happens with our masterclass people?
Yes, Uncle Jensen. I've got a new announcement. So, of course, we mentioned last week in our last in the show podcast that they launched the RTX 4070 Ti. Mm-hmm. So that's the big thing for this year.
That's the old 4080 12 gigabyte, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Got it.
And now they've announced that they're going to be releasing RTX 40 series for mobiles. Nice. Laptops and things like that. So that's interesting because then now we're going to see a jump in performance in terms of gaming for laptops. Because it's a laptop, it has lower power consumption, which is great. It should produce less heat, but don't expect a laptop version of the RTX 40 series to perform as good as a desktop version because of course you don't have the cooling. It'll probably have less CUDA cores, and it needs more power efficient, less voltages, so it's not going to run as fast as a desktop. But that's good news in terms of having a laptop because then you now have a next generation graphics in your laptop.
I heard it's equivalent to a 3060 Ti desktop.
Most probably. Yeah. It'll probably be equivalent to the 3060-ish 30 series for desktop version, laptop version. So
because I have a 3070 Ti in my, is it 3070? It probably is a 3070. Anyway, I got it on a sale when it was blowout sale, and it's okay. I don't think I'm going to need a 4000 series. I don't have enough space in I can barely close the door on this case already, so.
The only thing is, they do have a higher version, or I would say more advanced, higher end version of the 40 series mobile in what we call a gaming desktop replacement. So it's a laptop, right? But it's huge in terms of like the thickness and also the width, because it is literally all the cooling that you need for a higher end 40 series mobile.
That's the problem with Nvidia, is that it's so confusing. You can have a 3060 Ti or 4070 series GPU, but it might actually be completely different performance.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think
in a laptop.
A couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, they released the a mobile RTX right for the laptop, but it was actually reduced performance.
Yeah.
Because, of course, lower power consumption, less heat, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. It needs to be. So there was 2 versions of the mobile chips. One was more higher end, more performance, but it produces a lot of heat, right?
And there were different part numbers too. So if you buy an Aorus or an Asus laptop, 2 gaming laptops, and they have the same 36, and it says 3060 Ti, they might actually be completely different performance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they have the same VRAM, which is, to me, that's like incredible. That's almost like a bait and switch.
It's a little confusing, yeah. It's a little confusing.
It's very confusing.
But who knows? Who knows? But we'll see some of these laptops towards this end of the year. We'll actually see them coming out and probably Easter time. And then, you know, if you want to get a new laptop with a new 40 series graphics card in there, they'll be available. But don't expect them to be cheap, though. You're looking at towards $1,000 to
$3,000 laptops.
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing is that if you are a creator, Nvidia is doing that promotion again, where they're giving you 3 months of Creative Suite, Adobe Creative Studio for 3 months. So that's about $210, $250, depending on where you are in the world. And that gives you everything to try out for 3 months for free, but then you have to pay. Unless you're a professional, it makes sense. But if you're not a professional, that's still a lot of money to kind of addict you to the freemium model. You try it, now you need it.
Oh, is that what you call them? Freemium, huh?
Freemium. Yeah. They'll give you 3 months free, but then you're like, I can't do without this. All my projects are in this now. Well, so you got to pay.
You're going to have to buy it. Right.
That's right.
Okay. What else we got? Motherboard. So motherboard manufacturers have launched their mainstream Intel B760 motherboards, right? So it's more affordable and has less enthusiast features, right? But it should be decent enough for most gamers. So, like I said, the enthusiast grade Intel motherboards are the Z790, right? So that's going to be expensive. You're looking at 250 plus 300 onwards. You know, that's going to be way out of most reach for most gamers or budget users and things like that. So they now produce the B70 chipset, which is more than capable. It just doesn't have all the gaming features. I mean, the enthusiast features like the overclocking stuff, the onboard reset buttons and CMOS and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's available next couple of months. We'll see a lot more manufacturers producing those boards. B760, mostly for mainstream and gamers.
So if you don't overclock and you don't plan to, this is perfectly fine.
Yeah. It hasn't got any of the, the super high-end heatsink stuff, and you only ever need one PCIe x16 slot, right, for your graphics card. The other slots are, I think, 4 times, which is more than enough. You don't even that kind of stuff.
So if you're using USB-C or Thunderbolt peripherals, anyway, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
you have a dock, you just dock this in.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And cool. With that, I'll particularly like the new board from ASRock. It's got the Sonic edition.
Does it have rings?
It has.
Does it come with knuckles?
It has all the features on the graphics in terms of the heatsink, right? The heatsink's all nicely enameled with the nice Sonic logos and that kind of stuff. So
we're talking a blue hedgehog, right?
White and blue kind of thing, yeah. But it's good because I see ASRock teaming up with a lot of these others to produce these strange boards. The Live Mixer is another one of those things. It's basically a graffitied kind of design on the heat sinks and the board, so it looks rather than the black PCB board that we're accustomed to with most motherboards, right? This one's purple,
so it looks vandalized,
and it's got this graffiti paintwork on it, which looks really good. Actually, they have them in 2 versions: the Z790 in the kind of live mixer purple, and they have the B650, I think, for the AMD platform, and it's an orange kind of gray design. It's really nice. And of course,
so they're trying to something for everyone, right?
Yeah, something for everyone. If you're mostly a streamer, then you can go for this live mixer board, which looks pretty unique. If you have a window PC, then you can see all the bits in there. It looks so good. If you're a gamer and you're into that Sonic thing, you got that Sonic feel to it. It's really cool with the Sonic. So they're making boards which what's the name? Dr. something? Can't remember.
Dr.
Robotnik, yeah. I've seen a motherboard manufacturer did this type of thing. I think it was Gigabyte. I'm sure it was Gigabyte. Yeah, I'm sure it was Gigabyte. Yeah. And they had different boards from different cities in the US.
Okay.
Which is interesting. I've only seen them once in the not in real life. It was just a photo. But I think board manufacturers should promote more creative style kind of boards, which look different. Yeah. Right? Rather than just a black
licensing
PCB,
deals and everything.
It gets boring looking at the black PCBs.
Oh, definitely.
So those are the kind of PC components side of the CES, and maybe we'll see more Computex. Who knows?
Yeah, well, for sure, Computex, definitely. That's definitely the computer show of the planet Earth. That's where everything is happening, for sure.
Well, you got some car updates for us. Tell us.
Yeah. So last week we were a little bit vague on what was happening at the CES car show, and funny enough, CES has become one of the most important car shows in the world.
Oh, really?
Because that's where all the new EVs are coming out. That's where some of the new tech is being announced that may make it into vehicles or not. To give you the highlights, back last week we were talking about the Dodge launching their Ram. Well, they've got some more details on it. There's going to be two versions of the Dodge Ram Rev. The Rev will be the full-on EV version. We didn't see any numbers in terms of range or anything like that. I think they're keeping that well under wraps because, well, everyone tows a 20,000-pound trailer every single day and drives hundreds of miles. So they're going to need to do some testing to please those people that do that every single day, right?
Yeah.
But in reality, 90% of all truck owners actually don't do that at all. So they're only appealing to the very tiniest, most vocal minority of truck ownership. Most people will probably love whatever they're putting together because it's going to look great. This vehicle looks very futuristic. It doesn't look like the Cybertruck where it's like, I hate it or I like it. It's got more of a traditional rounded off tone. It's a very aerodynamic looking truck without being terrible looking, flared fenders. And it's got this on rail chassis system inside the cab. So it will be a four or five passenger cab style where you can push the seats forwards and backwards on rails. It looks like you could, and because the doors fold open suicide style, it looks like you could throw a hose in there and just clean out everything, but maybe you don't want to do that because there's electronics in there, but it looks like it's easy to clean. It looks like it's built for going outdoors, getting muddy boots in there. And of course, it's definitely going to have a frunk. It's going to compete directly against the F-150, the Cybertruck whenever we see it. And of course, the Rivian as well too. It's a big monster of a truck. And you have to speculate that looking at the size of it, the the Dodge Ram 1500 is not a small truck. It's about the same size as the Silverado, I believe, and definitely the same size as an F-150. So it's not small. So it'll have at least a 100 kilowatt hour battery for any decent range. I'm hoping that if they're able to get the efficiency down, they'll be able to get better range. And because it looks fairly aerodynamic, it'll have things to its advantage in normal driving scenarios. They are also to please the people that are more what they call them, petrosexual people. They have petrosexuals out there. They're creating also a PHEV version, which is a plug-in hybrid EV. So basically, this has a gas tank, has a gas engine, and also has a large enough battery that you could do most commutes within North America on a daily basis. And then when you head out into the woods and tow that 20,000-pound trailer to the woods and you're off the grid, well, you've got a gas engine in there as well too. And the gas engine will run and charge the plug-in hybrid EV battery. Based on some of the existing technology, this might be the same as the minivan, the Pacifica.
Right.
Or better yet, it'll probably based on the Jeep XE Jeep, which is the plug-in hybrid version of the Jeep series, probably tweaked to work with this particular chassis. So it'll be very interesting when they come sometime after 2025, which is a long time, people. It's a long time away. So no pricing, no nothing. And most people were thinking that, hey, you know what? We're just in a situation where we've got demand outstripping supply. Hopefully by then, the supply of batteries and everything will be normalized, and we're going to see some more affordable vehicles in the field. And that means that availability will be better. So unfortunately, what we talked about a few weeks ago when we're saying, hey, you're looking at 2 to 3 years for a car that you might actually want to buy, this might be holding true.
Yeah, it's actually not to do with the car production, right? It's all to do with the batteries. There's not enough lithium to go around. Is that right?
No, there's enough battery supply. Otherwise, car manufacturers wouldn't do that. It's just the other components.
Right.
Like if you think about, and I actually know this, in a regular gas vehicle, there is like 100 processors.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In an EV, that number doubles or triples. So with the chip shortage, it's not helping things.
Okay.
So this is why we have a compound problem. Not only are we not getting enough batteries in like it produced, not supply, produced, right? We have to have finished batteries.
Yeah. Don't
have those. And we don't have enough chips. Don't have those. So the two things coming together at the same time will have to work itself out over the next couple of years. Right. So hopefully by then we will have enough supply that people won't get gouged at the dealer anymore, and people will remember that they were gouged at a dealer. Believe me, there's going to be a reckoning when there's enough supply. A lot of these Ford dealerships, they're being shady about F-150s. A lot of these other dealers, they're selling used cars at like over new pricing. Yeah. These dealers will be remembered. And as a result, I know that Ford is looking to do a direct model of their EVs. I know that a few other manufacturers are also thinking about, hey, do we really need dealerships or do we need service centers?
You get service centers is going to be more useful, right?
Yeah, you can have more of them. And then you don't have to pay people that can tarnish your name, like some of the salespeople that have not so great reputations out there. They'll have to find other jobs. Oh, we don't need those people anymore.
Yeah, I've seen an EV going for well over market price, 20 grand over market price, just because it's available there at the showroom. And it's a demo car.
And they don't feel bad about it. So, I don't feel bad about you going away. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of EVs, that honestly, I think I don't think this is coming to market ever. But Sony and Honda, as you know, Sony and the Honda mobile division have launched a vehicle. They were saying that they're going to launch a new prototype. They've named it. It's called the AFEELA.
That sounds like a clothing brand.
How do you feel about it? It sounds like the shoe brand, right? So AFEELA is a shoe. AFEELA is a jacket. AFEELA is not an EV, is it? Yes, it is. So this is what they're calling their vehicle. It's very futuristic looking. Does it look like a Honda? No. Does it look like something Sony would put out? Maybe. And it's got a PS5 built inside. I think this is a toy. I don't think this is ever going to make it out there.
PS5 controlled car.
No, I don't think they're serious. I mean, if they were serious about putting out a vehicle, they would have a cooler name. AFEELA is not a name that will be marketed universally. Plus,
are you feeling it?
No, I'm not feeling this at all. No, I'm not feeling it. And I don't even think they're, I bet you anything, and I'm willing to bet, is that this is vaporware. This will never become a brand that will stick around. In fact, I'm saying this right now, is that because they don't even have an SUV strategy, which is what the world wants right now, like a good quality SUV, big enough vehicle with range, that they really, really failed on this test.
But Stephen, in Japan, it's kind of weird because I know for a fact that certain brands make it big in Japan, and they survive, and they are one of the big players. They don't need to worry about foreign markets or anything like that, and they could survive purely on their own domestic market. And this could be a car for just Japan.
Yeah, but it's too big.
Oh, really?
You look at the thing; it's a big vehicle. It's not small. It's the size of at least a little bit bigger than the Model 3. The Tesla Model 3 is not a small vehicle. It's wide. So if you think about all the skinny side streets in Tokyo,
that's true.
The K cars are popular.
Oh yeah, the smaller cute cars they have in Japan, right?
If they electrify those, they would be off and running, no problem, because they're quiet, they're cheap. Like everyone parks them in their driveway. In Japan, you just plug it in. It's good to go for the next day. That makes a lot of sense. This vehicle doesn't make sense even in the Japan domestic market. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's not an SUV, so it's not going to work here either.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen with that.
Maybe, I don't know. Like
Japan thing only.
Potentially. But it is a vehicle that, frankly, I don't think they're serious. The name is not global. Like no one loves it. They definitely didn't put it in front of focus groups in North America. At least I don't think so. I would not be choosing that name. Sony and Honda need to do better in the marketing department. Anyway, enough of these bad feelings. Let's talk about BMW and their Vision Dee. Last year at CES, they brought out a iX, which is a shipping SUV that is already in the market in Canada.
Yeah.
This is their SUV style. They fitted one out with e-ink panels that changed color, but they were monotones. So basically different grays, different blacks, all the way up to white. So e-ink panels are fairly durable. But, you know, for a vehicle application, that's still a developing technology. This year, they have the Vision Dee. Now, I don't know if this particular vehicle will make it ever into market because it's a little bit on the concept side because the iX was already going to come out. But this one changes color, all colors.
That's the problem with that, I could see, is that how will you register the car under the, what do you call it? Is it Canadian car
Is it a blue
registration?
car? Or is it a pink car?
Exactly,
it's a pink car today.
Yeah.
Or the police. Hey, we're looking for a pink BMW. Oh, it's silver now. It's yellow.
Yeah.
How is that going to work?
You're
right. You're right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this will be something that will ever make it into the market. I think this is definitely going to be something interesting for parts of the vehicle, perhaps.
In
pieces?
Could be. I mean, if it's for the roof, maybe, because I noticed they have those solar panel / tints roofs where you can, you know, change different, you know, shades and stuff like that. So maybe, I don't know. Or
it'll basically allow you for the flat top facing components of the vehicle to go from black to white in the summer.
Oh yeah, like the hood and the boot.
Yeah.
So that could change.
Maybe those things will help. Who knows? But it's fun to see. Always, everyone's taking pictures with it. But as a commercially viable piece of technology for any vehicle, I think not.
Maybe it's good for a promotional car.
People were talking about it, so it did its job. Yeah. And at the same time, though, AFEELA as a name, it's definitely got people riled up. That's for sure. Definitely a division right down there, including myself. Right. Let's talk about VinFast. VinFast is a company that has been very controlling of their image ever since they flew journalists and influencers out to Vietnam to have a vacation on them, Vietnamese style, at their resort. VinFast is a huge company. The Vin Group is fantastically huge, billion dollar company, and they controlled that narrative very, very well overseas.
Right.
Unfortunately, at CES, one YouTuber had a chance to actually drive one of their vehicles. And I was looking for domestic reviews first because I heard very bad things about the way the vehicles performed overseas. They were noisy. They had bugs in their software. They rattled. The suspension was stiff. And the 400 horsepower in each one was not 400 horsepower. When you press down on the pedal, it was not exhilarating.
Right.
And these are big vehicles to begin with. These are anywhere from the VF7, which is a compact SUV, the VF8, which is like a little bit bigger. And then you've got something like the VF9, which is more like an Escalade. So the VF8 was taken out by YouTube spec reviews. We love watching his videos because they're not overproduced. Very folksy, very, hey, I'm your neighbor. How's it going? This car, I'm gonna try it out. He did that. And he basically validated everything that was said in some of the previous notes about the vehicle. He was not impressed. He wished he didn't drive it. Now he has a very, very bad
memory
taste in his mouth, right? And these vehicles are already being shipped on boats to North America.
But they must have people ordering them though. Right?
No, they do. They have pre-orders happening. They were doing activations in Toronto and BC. They were at Lansdowne Mall. They have dealerships already being staffed and set up in New Westminster, Surrey, and Richmond, and some other places as well too. So they're going into this, but the vehicle seems extremely unfinished and unrefined. And this is the production model.
It's probably because
scary.
Yeah, it's probably because you know, the demand for electric vehicles is so high that if it was one manufacturer and say, hey, we got vehicles ready for you to drive, no matter what kind of like specs / performance, do you want it? Yeah, sign me up. Maybe.
Oh my God. This is an SUV market. North America is an SUV market. And for an SUV to be this crap is actually a very, very bad thing.
It's
that bad.
It's going to be one of those Mazda / I don't know what other car, which didn't take off, right?
This is going to be the Hyundai Pony.
when it first
all over again.
When it first came out, right?
When it first came out.
Yeah.
Because this thing is garbage on the first test drive. It has no business being on North American shores.
Yeah.
And you can't fix hardware with software. So the thing squeaks. All the lights were like blinking and bonging all over the place according to the video. And you have to see this. I'll send you the link and I'll leave it in the comments as well too. But holy crap, it's garbage.
Yeah, they didn't actually, like I said, refine it. And, you know,
it's very unrefined. It's very, like, I mean, even the worst vehicles in the world for drivability, and we have to, like, everything's gotten so, you know, everything's gotten reasonable.
Yeah.
The worst vehicle I had ever driven was actually a Nissan Pathfinder. It was a rental, and I know someone beat the crap out of it because the the CVT was making weird noise. Like, it was like in bad shape. This apparently is worse.
Oh my God.
And it's an EV, a noisy EV.
The whole point of getting an EV is you want the latest technology, you want the latest driving enjoyable experience, but with this, you're not going to get it, right?
He was mad. And this is a guy that's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, I feel disappointed.
I've actually pre-ordered, I placed a deposit down for the ID4 Volkswagen. So tell me a bit more about Volkswagen then. What's going on with there?
Well, Volkswagen is going to, by 2026, they're going to have a lineup of 10 vehicles, right?
10?
So far, if we can, globally. So these are global vehicles, meaning that the software and the hardware will be configurable minutely to suit the market. So basically everything in every vehicle is the same no matter what, except for right-hand and left-hand drive.
Yeah.
That's the only difference, right? And also the charging plugs in Europe are different than North America, but on this scale, they're going to have anywhere from ID whatever to ID3.
I think it was is an ID3 in Europe.
ID3 started everything.
Is kind of the standard regular size SUV. Then you have ID5, which is a slightly bigger one. But I never heard of the ID7. Is that the new?
I've never seen an ID5, but I know that the ID3 I've seen in Paris and seen in Europe. No problem. It's a beautiful car. I wish they brought it over here because it would give people a lot more choice. It's a little bit smaller than than my Niro, but it's the same size by the looks of it as the Hyundai Kona. Which would make it very attractive. In terms of clearance and ground clearance and everything like that, it seemed fine to me. Everyone complains about ground clearance, but this thing looked very competent to me. The ID4 is obviously the SUV style. And between the ID3 and the ID4, they had numerous software issues that they're addressing in the next batch. But the first run of the vehicles actually ended up having a whole bunch of them stuck at a shipping yard because the software did not work. They were not drivable as a result of the software glitches. So where VW does well, hardware. Where VW does poorly, software, right? So they need to figure something out there. And, you know, maybe it's because they fired most of the people that were responsible for Dieselgate, because those people built that software to trick the emissions control systems. So maybe they had to do some restructuring on that side of the division.
Right.
At any rate, the ID7 is coming to North America. It's a big enough vehicle that's Camry size or bigger.
So it's more of a sedan.
It's a sedan. It's a larger sedan.
Right.
Can you Uber in it? Absolutely. It's like it's definitely Camry size by the looks of things. Arriving in 2026 with a target range of 700 kilometers, which is fantastic.
That's a lot.
That's decent. Yeah, that's very decent.
Yeah.
Right. So that depends on whether it's EPA rated or WLPT, which is the European standard. But usually they're within 20% of each other. So even if this vehicle got 600 kilometers, that's still almost 30 to 40% over the regular average when it comes out in 2026. Yeah. So what it looks like to me is that by 2026, based on all the vehicle projections, and because VW usually, you know, they're kind of conservative on this unless they pull another Dieselgate, this will be realistic.
Yeah. Well, I heard that VW electric cars, vehicles, that they drive very similar to a petrol gas car.
That's right.
So is this a feature that in most electrical vehicles or only on VW?
Well, a lot of manufacturers have been tuning their vehicles down because people have been surprised by the amount of torque and speed. and that's gotten some people into trouble.
Okay.
So I think what will happen is that there will be refinement in the different modes of the vehicle. So maybe the ID7 by then will have a better sport, eco, and normal mode, so that you're not stepping on the gas and peeling out and burning out your tires as quickly as possible. There will be more of a regular mode, which will drive like the regular, a vehicle with the acceleration kind of slow, and there's no instant push forward on that. It's not as fun, but it'll definitely make less whiplash for sure.
It'd be a good transition for people who are already on petrol gas cars to make the transition, right? So yeah. Okay. And you got the option to switch over to full electric torque.
So it's like the Spider-Man suit, right? It's basically you got the training wheels mode, and then you got, like the full-on protocol,
with the nano suit and all that kind of stuff, with the spider arms coming out.
Yeah. Unfortunately, having something like that set by default, it might give some people the wrong impression of EVs, because EVs are supposed to be fast. They're supposed to, take off really quickly. And as long as this is communicated properly, I think this will be no problem. I think people will enjoy a more refined, more efficient drive. And I think that by encouraging this type of motor actuation behavior, it's going to make it so that people can get that 700 kilometers or even more. Because I know for a fact that when I take off from a light and I'm just gunning it, it doesn't help my range.
Yeah, because you're using
at all
enough juice to power that drive there.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's talk about Tesla. Tesla actually wasn't at CES, of course.
Well, the stock's not doing too good.
Their stocks are not doing well. In fact, I'll come back to this, but there was a Guinness World Record that was broken. But let's talk about the technology and everything like that. Tesla has been one of the proponents of the yoke steering wheel. The yoke steering wheel is nothing new. You see it in aircraft, and you see it in the night industries 2000 and 3000. Because it's the iconic yoke steering wheel. Don't know how you would use, you would definitely have to master the window washing style of driving your vehicle, because you would have to have one hand on one palm. A lot of people can't drive like that because they lose track of the wheel. I've seen that before. In the parking lot, some people have to hand over fist. You can't drive this vehicle like that. So Tesla, under some consumer feedback, has decided to give you the privilege of putting a non-yoke steering wheel inside affected vehicles for an additional $700.
For another additional $700, you can get a standard driving wheel. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the privilege.
The privilege of having a standard wheel.
That's right.
Circle. Driving wheel. Okay.
They're going to give you back your wheel for $700. So there you go. That was their announcement during the week. But also in breaking news, Elon Musk also now holds the Guinness Book of World Record for the most money lost in a year at the tune of $200 billion. Congratulations, Elon.
$100 billion.
$200 billion.
That's like the entire market cap of one big company, right?
That's like a whole country.
A whole country's GDP.
A whole country. Yeah. So congratulations, Mr. Musk. You did it. I don't know what you're trying to do, but you did it.
Well, Twitter didn't help.
Twitter didn't help. But at least Tesla's doing very well. In fact, it seems like Tesla's running better with you not at the helm. It's doing more things. It's breaking records. It's actually it seems to be okay without you, man.
Yeah, I think they need to let him get someone else to run it as with CEO to run the businesses, right? Whether it's Twitter, Tesla, and he should just sit back because he holds all the shares anyway, right?
Yeah, apparently he's trying, but it's got to be the right person. Who is the right person? The one you pick? If you pick a person, it's going to be exactly like you.
If he picks a person, and what happens if that person fucks it up? Sorry, children. Yep, it's going to happen. And people, and yes, children, your parents will lose a lot of money if they make the wrong decision. Absolutely. Moving on in this list here, we got one more thing to share. And this is something that actually addresses a major issue with EV ownership right now, especially in the US, because a lot of people complain about it in the US. Not so much over here in Canada, where we have one of the largest adoption rates of EVs inside British Columbia, aside from Norway. And that's the fact that there are not enough DC fast chargers or charging points
across North America,
right,
especially in the US. So Mercedes is partnered with Chargepoint. And full disclosure, I am a shareholder of Chargepoint. I do own shares in that company. So me talking about it, I need you to know that. All right. But they partner with Chargepoint, which is using tritium charging systems, which is actually an Australian company. And they're going to be building these charging hubs, hundreds of them around the world. Now, charging hubs are not charging points. So a lot of people were very confused because like, this doesn't sound right. Like you're building hundreds of chargers. That sounds like crap. And you're going to do it by 2027. That's ridiculous. Well, charging hubs can actually house 4 charging points or 40 of them. It doesn't, it's a hub.
It's like a internet what do you call them, exchange box outside the street, right, where it's from there you have all these other buildings connecting up to it, right? Is that what you're saying?
So it'll have redundant service, obviously, and it'll have multiple banks of chargers. Some of the plans are that these will be classy, very high end, potentially will have eateries nearby or amenities and everything like that. Basically done right, basically like how they are done in Scandinavia, where you go in, you put you charge the vehicle downstairs, you go upstairs, you have your McCafe or whatever, you go back downstairs, and then you're off and on your way. So this is more of a glowing up of the charging experience, because a lot of chargers in the US right now are afterthoughts. They're usually by dumpsters or in bad neighborhoods where they could get cheap rent. So Mercedes is elevating the charging experience for their customers. Now, as they roll these out between now and 2027, they will be accessible to all EV drivers. But one thing that Mercedes drivers will have, and this is, I'm not sure how this will work quite yet, is the fact that when they route their plans on the Mercedes entertainment system, they will be able to reserve chargers in advance as they pull in.
Okay.
So you can boot someone off.
That's interesting. That's that's an interesting concept. I mean, we have something similar in the UK where we have what we call service stations along the highway. So every maybe 40 miles to maybe 60 miles, there's going to be a service station which you can just, turn off to, and then you could park your car, fill up with gas, petrol, whatever, and then go to the like you said, there's like a hub, right? Like amenities where you can go to the toilet if you want. There's a restaurant in there.
Pay for the toilet.
Yeah, the restaurant's in there. There's a convenience store. And other stuff.
Playground.
Like yeah, and the only problem is those restaurants are quite expensive anyway. So but people do, if you're after a coffee, that's fine, and stuff like that. And if you have a charging point or a charging station there, you could just leave your car there to charge. Now we're also seeing in the UK, superstores. In terms of like grocery stores, we have Tesco's, Safeways, and stuff like that in the UK, Sainsbury's, and those parking lots. I think not all. Maybe you get about 5 to 10 chargers there. The rest are all normal parking. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that probably in like say in Canada and US now, right?
Yeah, I think we'll start to see a lot more of this use, like this mixed use space that used to be like how a petrol station is actually a very highly toxic and volatile piece of real estate.
Oh yeah.
If you take away the petrol station, it takes years to clean that piece up.
That's right.
And it's in most cases you can't do a whole lot. It's going to be there for years. So by repurposing these spaces and turning them into charging hubs, at least you give the ground a way to revitalize itself over a number of years until the point where maybe you can put a garden or something else there, right? Yeah. So, this is a good thing. It also makes stops and everything and safety a lot better, because if you can't find a gas station where, you can, go to the bathroom, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting other people at risk as well too, because you can't use the facilities. You're hungry. You need caffeine. Why not? Why not put this all together in one place?
You need to relieve yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And going on the side of a road where it's very narrow is not a good idea.
Yeah, it's not safe.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's not hygienic. Safe. Yeah.
No.
not very good.
And to all these people that say, "Oh, I'm in the car. I drive 8 hours in the car," dude. Did you just soil yourself in your vehicle? I'm not going to get in your vehicle. You are a dirty, dirty person.
There's plenty of bottles lying around, and if you see empty bottles,
I'm not touching your vehicle.
If you see empty bottles, you know what they're for.
Yeah. So you are dirty. Sorry. But anyhow, I think that's a move in the right direction, and hopefully we see them in Canada sooner rather than later. Mercedes is obviously one of the longest range EVs currently on the market. They have pushed that, and to see them go across Canada at a number of hubs across Canada would be fantastic to see that, especially to places that, obviously these people like to go to, like Lake Louise or Jasper, like those places really need a charging hub because they're high-end places where people like to wear their Louis Vuitton, handbags and their ski suits, and then they put on their boots, they take their photos, and then they go back in the lodge.
Yeah. There's always a demand for that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. Sorry, guys. Winston, what do you guys have? What do you have up next?
Accessories. So at CES, there was loads of gaming accessories, immersive experience from Cooler Master, wireless mouse, keyboards, gaming controllers, stuff like that. There's gaming chairs. So it seems that ergonomic is the subject of the day. So we got ergonomic gaming chairs from Asus and Razer. And I think HyperX got a new controller as well, gaming controller. So these game controllers are for your mobile phones. So you get your mobile phone, you clamp it on the side, and then you could start gaming with that.
I've seen those a lot. Yeah.
There's loads of those. I think they work off Bluetooth and stuff like that. So yeah, lots of that. I think gaming accessories is one of the most easy to manufacture and also highest profit margin. So, and they don't have a lot of chips in them, really, not complex chips, right? So gaming accessories, I think, are the thing now because it's cheaper to produce, high profit margins. Yes. And you've seen, like I said, keyboards, especially those switches. You can actually replace different key switches and things like that. So now we've seen a lot of gamers, a lot of streamers, and people who just want a smaller kind of keyboard rather than the full size keyboard, have smaller compact keyboards that are wireless. You can take them around with you and everything. So we've seen a lot of that. We've also seen the 500 hertz monitor from Alienware.
Yeah.
One of the first in the industry, crazy overclocked speeds as in refresh rate, and that's going to be crazy. And also the bendable monitor from Corsair. We've seen that last week, and that's also amazing news. We've got some gaming monitors from ASRock. So, ASRocks are, renowned for making motherboards, and now they're going into the kind of accessory desktop kind of arena there with their monitors. So I looked at some of the monitors. They look very similar to the AOC brand because I noticed
like that
because I noticed the stand. The stand looks very AOC with the kind of star-shaped kind of foot.
AOC, we're not talking about
Alexandra.
We're not talking about her.
Yeah.
But that company, they're a Taiwanese company, so it's not a unlikely situation where AOC would be manufacturing OEM directly to ASRock to be able to put them in the market. And in fact, I know that BenQ is also a Taiwanese company, so any of them, panel manufacturing is huge in Taiwan. So if you see something very innovative and very cool, it comes from Taiwan, potentially. Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of accessory case manufacturers such as Cooler Master and a few others making monitors, but they don't actually make the monitors. They just, like I said, OEM, get the monitors from whoever actually produced them and just putting their own little badge on there, right? And then marketing with the Cooler Master, stuff like that. So who knows? I mean, we could see more gaming accessories from ASRock. Keyboards, mice, headsets, and stuff. And like I said, streamers, YouTubers, and content creators, we're gonna see a lot more those type of products this year, I believe, and we'll probably see a lot of that at Computex later on in the year. So,
for sure.
Yeah, for example, I'm interested in getting one of these streaming mixer kind of unit, and I think it's from Roland, but it comes
Roland
with two built-in HDMI's for video inputs, two XLR microphones you can put in there, and it has all these twiddly buttons for fade in, fade out, and it actually connects up to all our Streamlabs, etc., etc. So we're going to see a lot of products like that, microphones, lighting, all that kind of stuff you need to do that live stream. And
Roland also has one that you might be interested in. If you have a bunch of smartphones kicking around the office and you want to use them as cameras, there's a new Roland that actually allows you to wirelessly connect them all to the mixer. You can actually have different angles with your iPhones as wireless cameras. So that's actually a very new and interesting way, and a very good green way to actually recycle some of your old phones.
I've got like two old phones just lying around. Okay, they may be out of date with the with the software updates and stuff like that. So the camera works fine.
Camera's good.
You could just download the software and have it hooked up. I haven't actually played with what you said with the Roland and that, but I'm sure other companies will come up with a useful way of reusing old camera phones, because some of the camera phones are good enough. They're 12 megapixels. I mean, come on, that's more than enough, right?
It's better than the webcam for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be looking into that, and talking about having more than one podcast with one guest, we could have multiple guests. Different camera views using.
Everyone has a camera, right? And that would actually increase the production value with very little outlay, because everyone has a bunch of phones.
Yeah, and you can use the software to control switching, the camera switching, which is interesting.
And it's all mixed right there on the console, which is a very innovative new thing that Roland came out a little while ago, and I thought that was super interesting. Now, we're going to skip this other item here for a second here that we were going to talk about, but I want to talk about Cooler Master and their new Sneaker X. Yes. What is the Sneaker X? Well, Sneaker X is basically a PC case that looks like a shoe, which I found very, very innovative and captivating. And it's based on a modding design that won an award through one of their competitions. Now, it looks like a sneaker. It comes in a few different colors: blue, baby blue, and also red, which is fantastic. I saw a article written up on Hypebeast, so I bet you anything there's going to be a Supreme version at some point, because it is a shoe.
Bait version, maybe
a bait version, and it's basically set up to do things like this cross marketing. But as far as the system goes, it's built for a mini-ITX system and can house a massive GPU like an RTX 4000. It's going to look weird. It looks like a chocolate bar hit your shoe, so because it's so big, but it can accommodate our huge GPUs. It'll also incorporate an all-in-one cooler, and depending on which color that you want or which configuration you want, it's currently available for pre-order only. But there's no price set, which means that Cooler Master is kind of thinking about what to charge for this thing, and they'll launch it by the end of the year. Thoughts on pricing? What do you think they'll charge for this?
You're looking at 2,000 plus, I'm sure, right?
For this?
I believe so. Because at the end of the day, it's unique, and
very much so.
A lot of people don't realize production. If you run off a production line, you have to, like, for example, if I was a company ABC, right? I want to order, say, a minimum order. I have to order like 50,000 pieces. Right. So if you're going to be kind of like hiring the whole production line to produce 50,000 pieces, you got to think about the costs and also what you're going to be charging your customers. Right. And nobody would, I wouldn't be stupid enough to order 50,000 pieces of this just to see if there's no customers out there. I got to be having a back order of 100,000 pieces. Yeah. Then I can say, hey, Cooler Master, come and I want 50,000 pieces right away. Yeah. Get it producing. And tell you what, the size of it, the compactness and the design, and like I said, there's going to be a lot of cross marketing, which is great because you get different brands in there. That'll be interesting. And we've seen a lot of computer components and products being cross marketed with other brands, luxury brands or sporting brands, and that's going to bring everything together. Yeah, 2,000, I reckon.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of what you think about. You can get a laptop for a 1,500 to 2,000, 3,000, right? 5 years ago, you can get a gaming PC for under 500. Now, you're looking at getting a gaming PC no less than 1,000. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's a bit small to be 2,000. I'm probably gonna say maybe up to $1,000 because we've seen very expensive cases. Like, I mean, I have a InWin S frame, which is folded aluminum. Yeah. And that case is $2,000, but it's big. It's like 10 times the size of the sneaker. So, and speaking of InWin, they were there as well too. I love this company, by the way. They are a Taiwanese born and raised company. They innovate for the rest of the industry. In fact, when I was at their factory, I saw certain other cases being manufactured there for certain other brands. So because they have the expertise.
So they also do OEM as well.
They also do OEM as well too. So they take a lot of the things that you might see out there as being absolutely crazy and ridiculous, and they end up putting a lot of that technology because they had to find a way to refine it into other products. Yeah. In fact, you'll see a certain company, when you look at the next year or the year after, you'll see certain design elements from InWin into other cases. And there's a reason where where it came from, right? So looking at some of the new things that InWin has come out with, and I thought this was actually really interesting because when I went to the InWin Design Center a few years ago, I saw that the engineers and the designers, they were building cases with cardboard. Right? They were slotting everything together. And they were trying to figure out, will this work? Can I put a chassis in it? Can I put a motherboard in it?
So it's more of a prototyping kind of like exercise where they can, rather than kind of print out parts for a case, they just use cardboard because it's easier and quicker to come up with the design. So
multiple designs, right? So I think that the new cases that InWin has released, their origami-like POC mini-ITX cases, it's kind of their way to communicate how they design to the audience, because these things, like when you look at the case and how it's packed, number one, it's going to save so much shelf space and shipping for InWin. And number two, you're going to be able to mix and match these panels and have a case that's completely yours. It's kind of like how Samsung does the different color panels for the fridges and also for the flip phones. So you can have something completely yours. And the other thing that they brought out here are the mod-free eATX cases, which are completely, they look bespoke. Like you basically, it's all parts in the box that you assemble into something that's yours. And this is where that origami thing from InWin's design house comes in, is that all the pieces that you put on look like the origami pieces that they were building inside their, their design room. So it's really interesting how designers have said, hey, you know what? I wonder if the PC market is ready for how we build cases. Maybe this is our way of communicating our design language to them and see what they think, because both of these cases, they're going to be limited runs for sure. And this is how InWin normally does things, is that they'll do limited runs of these things. They'll see how the market takes it, and then they'll refine it the next year into something that's even better or different, right? Just like my S frame, right? The S frame was actually the first one, which was huge, that bending technology to do 15 steps to build a computer case in one sheet of aluminum was great. The next year, they made it even cheaper and more compact in the square cases. So,
well, you probably see a lot of manufacturers like InWin producing these wonderful pieces of art, right? In terms of casing and stuff like that. And like I said, limited runs, and they're not going to make any money off it, right?
No, they make zero money off it. Exactly. They told me that. It's like they don't make money.
Exactly. And they make their money through OEM. Yeah. Because they produce thousands of other cases for
mass
OEM
market
partners.
cases. Yeah.
That's right. But bringing the designs and the concepts out into the public, where they can see, hey, this is something new. We can develop it further. We can refine it. That's how they work. And some of the cases when I've seen on the shows, unbelievable. Do you see the Sphere one with the built-in Alexa?
Yes, I've seen the Sphere one. I've also I've had a chance to work with the InWin Z frame. Z frame, which is the one that it looks like it's drop cast, like you know how there's YouTube videos where people take a molten aluminum, they drop it through an anthill, and then it creates this lattice. Yeah, it's the same technology that's used to forge this case. And I've actually used this case. I've not used it, but I've actually had it in my hands. It comes in a crate
It's heavy.
And the thing is, it's heavy. It weighs like 75 pounds.
What?
And it costs like $8,000.
Crazy.
But it's a piece of art, and there's a version of it that's built up in the Australian Museum of Art.
Wow.
With this built as a piece of art as well too. So this is what InWin's known for, and I'm so glad to see InWin continuing doing what they do, because no one does it like them. Like, seriously,
that's true.
Their designers are fantastic. I know that, I don't know if he's still there, but Erwin and his team, like, holy crap, these guys are so imaginative. It's just crazy.
Yeah. One of my first cases was an InWin. I modded it. It was a beige one though.
Of course, it's the original beige.
Way back in the early 2000s.
Yeah. So they have a huge history in building cases, and I'm so glad that they're still around and pushing the limits. Let's step away from cases and computer stuff for a second to something else that CES is known for, which is kind of the gadgets and everything like that, kind of the weird tech that we are not quite sure about, but maybe we need it in our lives, or maybe we don't at all. And this one has a connection to a Vancouver company, so that's why I'm bringing it up at all, because it kind of frightens me. This is an AI autonomous baby carriage.
Oh, you mean like a stroller?
A stroller.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
A stroller.
More.
So I don't, and again, I don't know if I trust this and all, but they are a Vancouver startup called GluxKind, which sounds German. So kind means kid. I guess Glux, I have no idea what that means.
Very German sounding.
German sounding, right? It's like Wunderkind or something like that. I don't know. But, as a parent, this sounds incredibly unsafe to me, because if your kid's in a stroller and it's walking by itself, what about traffic? What about all the stuff happening in the city, right? However, the self-driving function of this stroller only works where there is no kid in it. So if you put your frozen turkey in it, bye-bye.
Where does it go?
It goes wherever it wants. It's autonomous. It's supposed to be tethered to you in some way.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to use AI. It's called the Ella AI Smart Stroller. And it ended up winning a bunch of awards at CES, but I don't think I would trust something like this personally. I mean, it's very complicated. For starters, it's got dual motors and it's all-wheel drive. It uses a number of sensors to create this 360-degree safety bubble between you, the baby, and
everything around you.
So it'll alert you if there's a bike coming or a car coming, and it autonomously stops and brakes on hills.
It sounds like a Tesla electric vehicle. It
is a mini electric vehicle. So this thing's kind of weird. It will help you take the burden off when you're rolling uphill.
Oh, okay.
That's nice.
That's useful. That's useful. You're pushing uphill.
But again, it's and downhill as well too, but it's AI driven. So what if the AI decides that the gyro inside it has gone off kilter and your baby starts going down the hill? Like, what will happen there? I don't know. I'm kind of skeptical of stuff like this.
Is it a speed limit as a safety kind of thing?
It's slow. But if you're not paying attention and it goes out into traffic by a few feet, game over, right? So I'm not sure if I trust something like this. And at $5,000, that's a good year of college for your kid later on.
That's true. That's $5,000. That's a lot of money.
So for me, I never used a stroller. I always carried my kids, all three of them, right? And I made them walk. And they walked just fine, right? And the baby Bjorn was the only amount of money that I splurged on, because I had to use it every single day. So I spent the $300 on the baby Bjorn, but I love that thing. It's not $5,000.
Yeah,
and it was useful, and I got more fit, because we get fat as dads, right?
Well, like I said, talking about like earlier on with the cases and origami, you need a stroller that can fold up in compact size.
Yeah,
that'll be more useful.
They take up too much room. Like if you look at the reason why people want SUVs in North America, it's the reason either A, you've got a dog, or you've got a lot of stuff, but the stroller takes up the most amount of room. And if you didn't need a stroller that big, you could actually have a normal car.
Yeah. Get an origami stroller. That'd be easy.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? And I think that's also great, because we were talking about InWin and how they're having those folding cases that basically fold into these boxes. They're like 1/10 the size of a normal case. That's going to save so much electricity, gas and transporting these things all around the world, it's going to be just a better way to build a case for the world, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so
I love mini-ITX cases because or systems because they're so compact, and I've actually built a couple of these systems before, and the reason why I like it is I can actually place it anywhere, whether it's in the living room or bedroom. I can carry that around easier. It's not a huge workstation type of PC. It's one of those compact, cute little things I can carry around from one room to the next, and all you need is some of them have built-in graphics card. But if you don't want, you have a discrete one, that's fine. But it's so compact, and you can build, for example, if you're a modder, you can actually build a complete kind of from scratch, a complete new mod for customization, looks and stuff like that. And some of these competitions is how they use it. They use these mini-ITX boards because it's so compact. You can build around it. You had the Sneaker X, but they also mentioned, I think, Shark X.
Shark X.
This is the other one.
There's a shark.
That looks like a shark. And that's pretty decent.
It's actually really cool what they're doing with these. It's going to make PCs a little bit more something that it's not a box.
It's fun.
So it's fun.
It's going to be fun.
But it's not $2,000 fun. It's not $2,000 fun. I don't.
When I mentioned $2,000, it wasn't just for the case. It was for the whole system. Because I think they're going to sell it as a whole system rather than just a case. Because if you just get the case and you don't know what components to get, because there's not many manufacturers that produce mini-ITX boards. There's probably about 4 of them there. But if you get the wrong one, or you got the wrong size, or if you get a full-size ATX, that's no use.
Oops.
So I think they're going to sell it as a whole, complete system. With the cooler built in, AIO cooler built in with the Master One. Maybe they'll not include the processor, but they'll include what we call a bare bones, ready to build. Just plug in your processor. Maybe
so similar to what NZXT was doing with their build series, right? But they are more traditional builds, and they have their own motherboards, etc. That would be an interesting way to go. I would still want to build my own, and I would still want the case by itself. And I'm sure that they'll have a compatibility list or something like that, because people are dumb sometimes and they mess up, right? So I hope
check the manual.
Check the manual, watch the videos, because they'll show you how to build it, right? And you'll see, oh, my board is twice this size. It's probably not the right size. All right. Okay. Well, I think that's about all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for getting us into season 3. And, that's 30 episodes, guys. Thank you so much for being there for us. There's by the time this publishes, hopefully we have over 150 subscribers, and we're growing all the time. Our videos used to get low double digits. Now they're getting a couple hundreds of views, hopefully, by the time we publish this. And that's our take on CES 2023 from Las Vegas. And again, last show of season 3 of the podcast show. And we've got some new shows coming starting on February 1st with Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked event. We'll be publishing our next podcast then with some of our thoughts on the latest leaked Samsung S23 series. Leaks again, and probably some watches, whatever else they have to present to us. Maybe a new Note, probably not, but we'll have to see what's going on. But until then, where can our viewers and listeners find you, Winston?
You can find me at Instagram at Winston Chim, and also at Twitter at Winston Chim. I'm trying to get more kind of lifestyle stuff on there, food and brands, fashions, stuff like that. So you'll see more of that stuff on those social media accounts. But like I said, thank you so much for sticking around. And it's been a journey, 30 podcasts, and we're at end of season 3. So thank you. Please, again, share our content, subscribe, and we'll see you season 4. Is that right? Yeah,
season 4 is coming up. And you can find me over on Twitter at Stephen Fung, or on Instagram at Stephen Fung. I'm working with Any Day right now, microwaving stuff. So if you want to see me microwave something, I'm actually working on a crispy skin pork recipe with the microwave. So I'm going to try to figure out how to do that coming up. So if you like crispy skin pork, but you don't want to wait 2 days drying out all that meat in the microwave, in the refrigerator, and then putting vinegar on it and then waiting for it in the air fryer, I might have a shortcut, but I'm still
a process. It's a long process.
It is a process. So stay tuned for that. And anyway, great start to 2023. And we'll see you back in a short couple of weeks. February 1st. See you then.
See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.